there is no way that I'm going to talk about sisterhood and I don't have some real sister. You're going to hear some Mary Mary. You're going to hear some Clark sister. You're going to hear some sisters. That's what I'm talking about, y'all. But I am so excited to have this conversation as we end. You know, I always highlight women, but as this is Women's History Month, I am, doing a final show to end Women's History Month because it's official Women's History Month. But y'all know I celebrate women all day, every day. But I have to introduce these ladies. Lottia is no stranger to the Dr. Don radio show, but she has brought a friend with her this time. She loved it so much last time. She said, I'm going to bring somebody back to your house. So I just love, love, love that. But I am officially, brothers and sisters, I am on Facebook Live. So thank you all who are listening online. Thank you all who are, hey, listening through the app. But we are on Facebook Live. So if you want to see our beautiful faces, you are able to do so. So let me give these sisters a proper introduction. You all know I don't bring people into the Dr. Don radio show raggedy any kind of way. I don't make you sit on the plastic couch like grandma used to. I make you feel comfortable. First, we have to introduce Sister Lottia N. Blount. She is the executive director of the Way, Truth, and Life Outreach. How are you, Lottia?
I am well. I am well. Thank you so much for having me back.
Man, I can only imagine. We're about to get deep because last time, Lottia, we talked and I said, man, I got to hear more about this. We got to have y'all back and make this a show. Yes. And then reading the website, I was like, my goodness, yeah. And we didn't forget about the other sister you see at the bottom. Yeah, she's here. She's not just here for window dressing and to look cute. Yeah, Yesenia, right?
Yes.
Yesenia Casas, and she is the Director of Client Services with the Way, Truth, and Life Outreach. How are you, Yesenia?
I'm good.
Yeah, you were a client as well, right?
Oh, yes, I was.
Yeah, and I think that is so amazing. Like, we're going to get into this. Like, I just feel like we could have about 5 shows, right?
Clearly, yeah.
We should judge young pregnant mothers. Yeah, because that could be me, truth be told, right? I shared a little bit with y'all. But I mean, man, when I look at what you all are doing and it's all founded on biblical principles,
yes,
that's what I like. And that's what we have to talk about. So let's get down to it, ladies. Either of you can answer this, and the reason why I called it a woman's word, because it's Women's History Month. And
yes.
It sounded a little better, but y'all help fathers too. But some don't know what you all do. And so give us a little background on the organization.
Okay, so the organization was founded in 2004 by Janet Lamel. She was a registered nurse for at least over 30 years, worked labor and delivery. But the way it came about, just to give a little background, she shared the story about when she was in high school, there was a young girl and she went to school with her in Brooklyn and ended up going away for a while. And she didn't see her for a little bit. Mm-hmm. When she came back, she was like, where have you been? She was like, oh, I had a baby and I was living with this woman that, took care of many of us young pregnant girls. And, as a teenager, Janet thought that was just like, wow,
yeah,
someone that would just take someone in to care for them and their, while they had their baby. Right. And so that stuck with her, her whole life through nursing school and everything. And her dream and her goal was to really open up a maternity home.
Okay.
And, so God, can plant our seeds. And I still believe that he is working for that maternity home to come into fruition. But
the
pregnancy center was what was birthed, in Waller County at the time during 2004. We had no medical services for women. Mm-hmm. There was no nearby hospitals or anything. And so she was just kind of helping women just like out of her home is where it birthed that.
Wow.
Mainly young teens. She went into the schools, just to kind of just provide just some case management. Yeah. So the ministry started in 2004, which was the Way, Truth, and Life Outreach. And so that's how that became. And then in 2008, we just started doing business as Waller Pregnancy Care Center. She was kind of volunteering at a pregnancy center in Brenham. And so that is how we ended up birthing one here in Waller. Okay. 2017, I want to say, is when we developed Family Way Empowerment. So we have the parent organization, which is the Way Truth and Life Outreach. And then you have Waller Pregnancy Care Center, where we focus primarily on providing that medical care to that
Okay.
mom. We provide the option counseling, which is your options to either choose to parent, to abort, or place for adoption. And we provide education for that. We help them fill out the applications when it comes for Medicaid, if they need SNAP benefits. We just want to make sure that we're doing anything that we can to help them in those initial phases of pregnancy to get them to their first medical appointment, helping them find the doctor. But then we know once they have chosen life for their baby, there's still so much more work to be done.
Yeah.
And so we work with them into Family Way, and that's kind of where we do more of our family activities, and we bring in the children and mom and dad or the grandparents, because it does take all of them, and that's where we have more activities for them. So that was kind of how it was birthed and it was started.
Okay, talk about the abortion piece.
Okay, so
because when she comes in,
go ahead.
How do you deal with that? If you all, you know what I'm saying? How do you deal with that piece?
So we have a book called Women's Right to Know, and it is given to us by Health and Human Services in the state. So, and it kind of goes through those options, because a woman has three choices. She can choose to parent, she can choose to abort, and she can choose to adopt. And in this book, it will really lay out, what can happen in the process of an abortion. It'll talk about it from a medical standpoint, the psychological standpoint, a physical standpoint, and these are just the facts. And so our thing, when a woman who comes in, especially if she's a young woman, first time, could be a college student or something, because we are 5 miles from a local university, typically, and it's a HBCU at that. So abortion sometimes is a very hot thing when it comes to our college students, right? And so the biggest thing is just to listen to her.
Okay.
You have to listen to them. It's already such a taboo thing culturally, to talk about it when you think about where we come from, and how far we have come. And now you're in college, and so your parents are probably like, don't have any babies and don't do that, and it's like, but pregnancy isn't a death sentence.
Okay.
And so, it's really important that when she comes in, we listen to her and give her a chance, so she doesn't feel she's being condemned already from the start, and let her just pour out her heart. And that normally is one of the biggest things, feedback that we receive, is no one really ever listened to me. I didn't know that I had these choices. I didn't really know what the support was. And so that's the main thing of what we do to start. You just have to listen to them.
Okay. And you have to lay out all of the options. Because people, I'm not going to get controversial, because that's not what I brought you all on here for, right?
Oh, so right. I want to say that we are not political.
Yeah.
This is a heart matter, and we are here for the client, for their family, and to encourage them and to just educate them. So none of that even matters. What we do is pure from our hearts, from God, and that is it. It is always their choice. We just provide them with the options, because most of the time what happens is we don't really know what those options are. We just know it's like, if I feel I can't parent, then I'm just going to abort, right? Or people don't really fully understand adoption or understand that you can parent. You know what I mean? Why do you feel you can't parent? We don't really give them a choice or an option to understand, why can't you do something? You know what I mean? And so we're that safe space that allows them to just share what they feel. And we just tell them it's always your choice, because God gives us the choice. But just because we have a choice, it doesn't mean we always choose right in the eyes of God, but it's always up to them. We're just here to provide education, and we're here to provide support on whatever choice that you make. We're going to still support you, because that's what Christ-like people would do. Okay.
And I just want to make that clear, but I think sometimes they think that is the only option.
Right.
But when you show them there's hope, we're here to support you, you're not alone.
Absolutely.
They can see that. Now, Yesenia, I want to get to your testimony because you were a client, right, Lottia? Now she is the director of client services,
She
which
was
I
my
think
first client when I started in
really.
2010. Yes, she was my first client. So it's a very full circle.
Oh wow. Tarashia says, "Hey y'all, hey,
Hey.
yeah." Oh, you know her too, Yesenia?
Yes.
Okay. And then she says, I love Way Truth Life and their faithful work. And Tarasha has a testimony as well. She was a young mother in college. So it's just so good. And then look at what God is doing in her life. If she didn't have support, she wouldn't be teaching the word and raising her children in Christ. You know, so we do have to encourage. We do. Tell us your testimony, Yesenia.
Okay. So I was actually Latia's first client.
Oh,
And
wow.
thank you so much. So I came in and I was a 10 plus stress level. Now, if you're wondering what that means, we have a question that we ask our clients and ask them, are you experiencing any type of stress level? One being the lowest, 10 being the highest. What would you rate your stress level to be?
Yeah.
I was 10 plus.
Wow.
Yes. So I was in there for about 2 hours.
Wow.
I remember the ladies praying for me, my intake, everything. So I was pregnant and I couldn't have an abortion, but I couldn't have my baby.
Mm.
So I was stuck. That didn't make no sense, but that's where my mental state was.
Okay.
I was pregnant, but I couldn't have the baby.
Mm.
So yeah, I became a client. I started volunteering,
Okay.
and I started translating, and then I became advocate, a volunteer advocate, and now I'm the director of client services. But throughout that time, I was a client. So they first asked me if I wanted free diapers.
Oh, wow.
Why are you giving me something for free?
Mm.
What are the strings attached? Like, what do you want to return? I'm like, nothing. You just got to be pregnant. And I'm like, okay.
Oh, wow.
So I was in this state, and they're like, and I'm like, all right, I like this. They would call me for classes, sessions, and I wasn't there all the time. I'm not gonna lie. So I started as a volunteering and advocate, and I was an advocate for a couple of years, and then I ended up falling out.
Okay.
Yeah. So I am a domestic violence survivor.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to ask, some of your background.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As to why you thought there were strings attached. What do you want? Are you going to take my baby? Do you want to sell my baby? All of that, Lottia, we know what goes on.
Yeah. Have a share with them, Cindy, about like how our first session went when you first, came to the center or whatever, because it was definitely new for me.
Mm.
At the time.
You did great. I didn't even know until that you told me, and you were pregnant with Bryson as well.
Yes.
Okay.
And they're 11 now. But it was a very comforting atmosphere. It was everybody was nice and sweet. The prayer, like, they care for me.
Yeah.
They actually truly care for me, and the questions that I was never asked before, and I'm like, okay. So just getting to know me, my options. They reached out to me. So I was in their appointment. My ex-husband at the moment wanted he told me there was free abortions. So I couldn't get an abortion, but I couldn't have the baby either. So they guided me through the process and everything. But I think the most important part is that I saw God in the midst of it all. Somebody actually cared for me. Somebody was actually there for me. And I wasn't used to that. I didn't know what that meant. So yeah, it was just remembering back.
How old were you?
I was 25.
Okay.
This was my third child.
Okay.
And
no judgment, right, Lottia?
Right.
But everything I was going through, I felt like it was my first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was separated from my ex-husband. I was going to start school. I was going to get a job. I was going to exercise. I was going to do all these things, and then here I go pregnant.
Yeah.
So it's just, I'm not the first, second, the last. So it's letting the clients know that things happen.
Yeah.
I was married, but I was going through a separation.
Yeah.
The baby was my ex-husband, but
Yeah.
we weren't supposed to be together. I was living with my mom. I had to go back to my mom's. So it was just a lot of mental, and I was going through, and they helped me.
How was your mom? And if you want to share that, because I'm looking at how do you deal with the family dynamic? Was your mom supportive? Was your family, because how was that?
So in the Hispanic culture, so I ended up pregnant, so I had to get married. I love my ex-husband, and we were high school sweethearts.
Yeah.
We got married on our prom day.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Across stage, pregnant, almost 8 months pregnant with my oldest son. And it was okay at first and everything, but yeah, I had to come back to my mom's. It was hard. My mom, she didn't have any support herself, and she didn't know any better herself. So she did the best she could. She took it, and it just was difficult with all the children and everything. But
And wasn't your first baby? It was a teenage pregnancy?
I was 19
when
I had him.
Yeah.
So
no, go ahead.
So I was pregnant with my first child in school when I graduated, and this was, you know my age now, but this was in 2005. So I was in a parenting class at school.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
And then I would take my children to the doctor, and it was a house, and they had this giant baby shower where doors were just open, all kinds of baby items. There was like a line. It was free. Everything was free. So years later, when I'm pregnant with my daughter, 7 years later was it? I find out that this was our founder's house.
Wow.
Now she let a doctor use her house to start her business.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And I had several different ministries in the house. It was WL Outreach, then it was the pediatric clinic, and then there was also a teen center for teen moms. And so, and by Janet, who's our founder, who's also my mom, by the way.
Yeah, I was about to say, isn't she your mother?
Yes, who is my mom, by the way. I was in college during this time, so when I would come home, I noticed how my old room was now a medical room.
It was a medical room.
I was like, okay, so all the stuff's hanging on the walls, exam table. And so it was all three of them in there servicing the community. And so at the time, Yesenia didn't know, that that's what it was, but she kind of just came into that at 19. And then again, we run into her again at 25 into the actual center. So.
Okay. Read this comment about your mama, Lottia.
Janet Lamel is amazing.
and see, this is what, and let me say this, God doesn't need much to do much. She's like, forget building a center. Let me turn these houses.
It was her and my stepdad. And, I want to give him a lot of,
that's what I'm talking about.
Thank him, because I'm very pro man, and I'll talk about that. His wife had a vision to birth, and he supported that, and they did it together. And they lived in a camper right outside of our house. So it was a very small camper, like the size of my office. And they did that for a year or two until we moved the center into the shopping space. But the whole house was operating, to just service women who were pregnant and had small children.
And that's why I'm not even asking, how do you fund it? Because they were selfless. God brings it back. Yes. When you sacrifice, God will give it back to you a gazillion times over. So I don't even have to ask, how are you getting funding? God saw the sacrifice.
It is the community, it is the individuals, it is the churches, it is the organizations. Of course, there, is grant, but we always need, but it's the community. This building and this place that's here belongs to the community, and we
Right.
want to always keep it here to be a service for all moms and dads that are pregnant, because we do not have a specific age group. You only have to be pregnant or have a child that's under the age of 3 to participate.
That's what I was going to ask. Is it teens? Is it so any woman if she's 40?
So it started off as for teens. In the beginning, it was very heavy focused on the teen mom. And then you realize when you're doing mapping and you realize you're in a community that doesn't have services for women in general. And at the time, Waller County was like 50,000 people. There wasn't any hospital or any real services. So that's when it just expanded and it was just open to women. Because in hindsight, when you get pregnant, it's different every single time, right? So it's never really the same. And so we just service women and men that are pregnant that have children under the age of 3.
Okay. Now, Yesenia, here you are, right? And I think it is so important that here you are, because who else better to help the clients than someone who was a client? Right? Not someone who, and I don't, somebody who has walked it, who has lived it, who knows how they feel. Do you find that your experience has allowed you to be more effective?
Oh, yes.
More than a class can educate you sometimes.
Definitely. So every time I see a new client, I remember when I was first there, I was in that place. I learned something new, and I remember how they treated me, and we're here to care for them. And like Tia said, to hear them out. The majority of the time is they need somebody to listen to them, just to express themselves, just to let it all out.
I love that. And the key word you all used was listen. We don't listen. We don't listen, right, guys? What is the most shocking story you've heard, either of you, without revealing confidentiality, if you can?
So I had a client once before. She had a previous abortion at 16. She was now a college student, 19, from out of the state. And she just knew that her mom was going to have her have another abortion because she had to have one at 16. And, very, very educated, wanted to go to law school and everything. And she didn't know how she was going to do this. I kind of took her in like as my own. And we do that sometimes as client advocates. God will lay on your heart like, okay, this is one of your special ones. So you got to really go in. And I remember one time I went and met her on campus and her room was just like a complete mess.
Wow.
And I took my time and cleaned her whole room for her.
Yeah.
And because she was dealing with so much with morning sickness.
Yeah.
And she was just like, did she really do this? She didn't have anybody to accompany her to any appointments. So I made myself available to go with her to appointments. And she came early on. She was like 8 weeks. And, at the time, after 20 weeks, it was like the mark. And so she just felt like, I got to tell my mom, but I know she's going to want me to probably have this abortion. And so at 20 weeks, she finally told her mom, and, I would have her over for dinner. I would, help her grocery shop. It was just the support of having somebody there while she was in school. Yeah. So her mom definitely was upset initially and told her she needed to, have this abortion. But Janet was away and I called her and said, look, it's not looking good. We may end up having this kind of, which is definitely more late term abortion for this client that we've been nurturing. And Janet and her group prayed. The mom called the next day and was like, you know what? I'm gonna help you. And I'm sorry that I was just so upset. We took time and I talked to her, and sometimes that's what it is. It's like they just sometimes need someone else with them. And that's when we also will help them talk with mom or talk to dad or grandma, because they're going in it by themselves. And sometimes parents just need fresh ears and they need a fresh awakening to really understand what's happening. Like your daughter went through all of this on her own, away from home and out of town, and she got this far. And so to share now, she is now a very successful lawyer. Her daughter has to be at least like 7 or so. And she did end up going off to finishing college, undergrad, went to law school, and is doing really well. And she says it was just because someone was there and supported me to listen.
And I find, and Yesenia, don't you find it, because we're now reaching moms, and again, maybe that's what she was told to do. That's what we do. The baby's an embarrassment, all of that. But mom's like, wait a minute, let me get myself out of this for a minute, and let me listen to what you all. So you all are educating many, many generations. And I'm
absolutely.
Read this comment, Yesenia.
So yeah, it's
glory be to God.
Amen. That's it. So yeah, we're not here to judge. We go through so many things. But one of the topics I wanted to talk a little bit more about is when I was pregnant with my 2 boys and pregnant with my daughter, and being the mother of already 2 and now 3, and I was by myself. I didn't have no support. I had nowhere to go. How am I going to have this baby? How am I going to support this baby? What am I going to do? It's going to change my plans, but of course, it changes those plans. But it was a hard situation. Transportation. I used to be out in the country all alone, no phone, alone all the time.
There's your baby.
My family wouldn't visit me, I married my husband. He was just, I gave it all up for him, to be with him and change and everything. I got lost a lot of family, so I was more alone, trying to give it all to the family, but it didn't work out. So yeah,
I would call you, and even if you couldn't talk, I would leave you messages.
That's right.
Oh yes, it sure would. And I'm like, okay, and then next time again, I'll schedule an appointment and don't show, and it's like, oh my gosh, they're still calling me. Well, I couldn't make it because and they never touch me. It's like, it's fine. That's why we're here. You're doing you. Take care of you. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Who is Angelo?
That's my baby boy.
Hey, baby boy.
Hello.
They're the reason I'm here.
Hey. And that's what Tarasha says. Wow, what a testimony. Miguel, read this, Yesenia.
Hi, Mama.
Hi, Mama. Yeah. Isn't this a beautiful thing? How are you feeling now, Yesenia? I can see the emotion. My goodness.
It's all because of God.
Oh yeah.
In the center, and they taught me all the life skills. I didn't even know how to use a keyboard. They taught me. And
it's okay.
This is the part Miss Janet's gonna say, she don't like me to talk about it, but after I had my daughter, I fell out of the center because I was on drugs. My ex-husband was on drugs. I was on drugs, and
that's okay. That's what we need to hear, right?
Yeah.
Done drugs myself. Raise my hand. Yeah.
We're not perfect.
That's right.
So it's like sharing our testimony. Like I said, I have a bunch of little testimonies built into one large testimony that keeps building up. But and I left and I came back. Tia knows where I'm headed, and I wanted to have my job back. And Tia was upset because they trained me, they helped me. I was her baby sister. Miss Janet's my mom, and so she's like, no, and Miss Janet said yes, and Miss Janet took her to the corner.
Yeah.
And this was right after Harvey. Yes, there was. Yeah, because he had messed up the center and came back, and Tia's like, oh heck no.
No, I said hell.
Hey, she's trying to put some antiseptic on it, but the show is it's no judgment, just real.
Right.
And something tells me Lottia didn't say heck no. I just did that already. Yeah, go ahead.
My kids are watching it. So Miss Janet grabbed her, took her to the corner, She's like, hey, think about it. God probably sent her to us. Tia's like,
Yeah.
"No, I ain't gonna do this. I ain't gonna try. I don't know. But we ain't got nobody would be praying. And the whole time I'm listening, and I can hear the whole conversation.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't trying to be quiet.
So they took me back, and I had to start from the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay? I had to start from the bottom. I had to get drug tested randomly. Now, this is a time when I also had to have surgery. I had really bad endometriosis. I hadn't mentioned that one before. And I was going to the ER. They would tell me I had really bad anxiety, depression, that I was going crazy. They would just send me home.
Yeah.
So I was like, what if they find something on the test and think? So I was like, I'm going to the ER. I promise. I mean, and they believed me and they trusted me, and I thank God for that, and that they were willing and listening to God,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so they helped me. They guided me. I started back from the bottom. I got my pay went up. I had to start and learn and show them, hey, I can do this. Just believe in me, and they did, and they did.
Yeah, but see, what I like is a second chance. You have to give someone a second chance,
Yes,
another chance, right?
we're human.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I like to tell clients, and that's why I like to share my testimony, because
Yeah.
we're gonna screw up.
Oh yeah.
It's just knowing that you're not a failure.
Yeah.
Don't give up. Don't stop there. Just keep giving it your all. Just keep going. It's not the end of the world. Yeah. It's not the end of the world. We gotta keep going, and God loves you, and you're worth it.
But see, what I like is, and the drug testing, that's wisdom, because you don't want somebody who's high coming to help clients. That's wisdom, and then that keeps you accountable too, Yesenia.
Exactly.
And that they're giving you another chance, but that's wisdom.
Mhm.
That's wisdom. But I like that you didn't judge her, but we have to do this right, Yesenia, and that keeps Yesenia on the right track as well. And I got started from the bottom. Now you're here.
Let's go, Angelo. Praise your mama, boy.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus.
And Tarasha says Yesenia has some respectful and helpful children, and she is training her kids up in the way they should go.
Yes,
I thank God so much for my children, and
What
for
a blessing.
I do this all for them. It's all for them, and setting the example for them. And I was like, guys, guess what? I'm gonna be in a podcast, and they're like, what? And I'm like, I know. And it's like, and they're all like,
Hey, we're glad to have you. It's no judgment, just realness. Am I right about it, Lottia?
That's it.
If she didn't have a good time, y'all wouldn't be here.
Yes. When she had asked, I was like, oh no, I have the perfect person to come on and share this testimony, and you was the top one I thought about.
Because we have to understand, it's easy for Lottia to say how great it is, but when we hear Yesenia's testimony, and then when we see her children. Now, this is what I'm going to talk about right now. And we need to talk about judging or not judging, right?
Right.
If you did not embrace and love Yesenia, where do you think you would be, Yesenia? And I want people, and I can talk about it, but I want to hear it from your mouth, where you would be if you didn't have the love and support.
I wouldn't be in this world.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
That's the truth.
You might be dead, suicide, you think?
Yeah.
Kids without a mother.
Yeah.
Man.
Mm-hmm.
We got to sit silent for a moment.
Like
right?
I say, pregnancy isn't a death sentence. Sometimes it saves our lives, and we just don't know it because we can't see it in hindsight.
Yeah.
Now, if I wouldn't have gotten drug tested, if they wouldn't have took me back, because God let them take me back and they were obedient to the word of God, I probably wouldn't be here. It's all for my children and just raising them.
My God. Do you see what's going on here, people? Because we're going to talk about later how you all educate the church.
Yeah.
And how you all are educating the community. So, Mom, you don't send your daughter to a back alley clinic to get an abortion, and then she end up with an infection and all of that going on.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? The baby is here. And this is what I've also added to my talking points. Compassion doesn't mean you're condoning, right? Because you all have an abstinence program too. So we're not talking about fornicate and go have babies and we're all for that. That's not what we're talking about. But let's reach them. Let's use the heart and let's show love.
Right. I mean, when something it's already here now.
Yeah.
Right. But what we talk about, how do we combat and deal with it when it's here? It's already here.
Yes.
So we don't deal so much teaching when it comes to just the abstinence and all of the purity, because we're trying to take care of the issue at hand now.
Gotcha.
You know,
Okay.
so of course we talk about it and things, but our program is designed to literally help mom and dad that's in the crisis or in the moment right now. And when you talk about, you know, the church and the community, it's like, you're the church. There's people in there that's on drugs. There are people that is doing this and doing that. Why do we condemn the pregnant woman? You know, like,
that's a good point.
That is still it's the act that's the sin, not the baby.
Yeah.
And so we have to realize we're already past the act and we're already here. So now we need to embrace. And we need to love. And there's an actual group called Embrace Grace. And we do have one in our community, that a church that has started one, and they connect with their local pregnancy center to be able to guide and help that single mom that's facing her first pregnancy. And they just bring her in for that spiritual and just to love on her. And it doesn't have to be a whole church. It could be a small group that are willing to just take them in. And that's what we do.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we do. So we go out and we do give these talks to the different churches for them to come in and understand, like, hey, this is good.
That's good.
As a church, and how you can embrace and not make this mom feel like she is being shunned because she's pregnant.
Yeah. Because I think sometimes the older generation doesn't know what to do, but we don't want to say it, or let's send her off for the summer. And then when she comes back, let's act like she wasn't, you know, it was what it was. But I like how you say we have to deal with the issue at hand. Yes. And I love the way that you all educate, because you're not condemning the church either, but you're showing the church this is a way, and they can be a partner with you. If they don't know what to do, send them to Yesenia, send them to Lottia. So I like that you are showing the churches, hey, if you don't know what to say, bring them to us.
And what happens is it helps the client to see that the community cares and that it's a connection. So when you have someone that, if they come to us first, and then we're now connecting them to the church, you know, it shows that the community cares about you. So the support system grows, and it becomes from micro to meso to macro, and then you really see the big difference. And so, you know, we'll get people, it's even important for us to talk to the Medicaid office or to talk to the WIC office. You know, it's a community space. That's why we're in outreach. So we literally go out into the community to reach to these different places, to the daycares. You know, we support our moms and dads that are working and that are young. You know what I mean? Like, they need support. That's why we have Family Way. We want them to know that we are here for them.
Yeah. And I think the clients know that too. Don't Yesenia, because she's getting so emotional. I feel that if someone comes to her, they're going to feel her heart.
Yeah, we have, definitely. Everybody wants Yesenia. So you're absolutely right. She's been there. So, and you know, they all want to see Yesenia.
Now, Yesenia, let me ask you that. No, go ahead.
I say it's all God.
Yeah, amen to that. And that's what I like about the foundation of this organization. But Yesenia, I want you to talk about, what do you all determine as a successful outcome? Is it when the mom says, okay, I'm going to take care of my child? Is it when the mom and dad stay together? What do you all determine as success?
A successful outcome, place your baby for adoption, choosing life.
Okay.
Even clients that have abortions, we have helped clients because that's very traumatic. You know, that's caused a lot of trauma, but a successful outcome is when they choose life for their baby.
Yeah.
I like to add to that you know, it's successful outcomes looks different for everybody. And so, and a successful outcome is always when, yes, they're going to choose life, but it's also success when they're able to set a small goal and complete something that they didn't think that they could do.
Okay.
Even if they have the child's father and they haven't been on like good terms, but he does come in and they're each taking sessions to learn how to just co-parent it. That is a successful outcome.
That's
and so
right.
we have to count all of those small wins, and we give them certificates throughout their time.
I love
So
that.
they can know that you accomplished something,
Yeah.
that you've done something, that you are already a parent now in the womb. And so all of those are outcomes. Have we married? Janet is a minister, and she has married couples
All right.
before that have come through the center. So there are very many stories that make it a success.
Yeah. I think, and I like that sometimes even if mom and dad don't end up married happily ever after, at least they can co-parent, so we don't raise, so there it's not a broken generation after.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? So for each case, because do you really want a couple together if they're not in a healthy place?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. And what I love about this conversation, she had 2 kids, she had 3 kids, so what? We gotta, that's not what we're here for.
That's not what we're here for.
We're not here to judge, because nothing should shock you all, right? What is the average day for you all like?
A day. So we get together with our morning report. We pray, and it's clients every hour.
Wow.
3 rooms. Sometimes they'll just walk in or just get a pregnancy test. So we'll have our schedule set, and then God will be like, "Here you go." Fun, and we just go for it. We just make it work. Whatever the case is, the situation, we just gotta work as a team and work together. And
we're a life team, so we like for the clients to be able to see a little bit of everybody.
Okay.
So they don't feel like it's just one person. And that.
No, I saw the staff and the website, the doctor.
So that helps them to see that they have a support team and not a support person. We're not managing you as a case. We're loving you as a person.
I like that.
So, you may be intaked by Yesenia for your pregnancy, but then our spiritual counselor may come in because you may need prayer for something. And then you may have our program services coordinator come in and kind of share with you about what the program is. And if I'm in office, I may just drop by to be like, "Oh, congratulations. Like, you're so cute." You know what I mean? And then you have those who want to, that literally just hand them their supplies and things like that. So they get to see that it is a team when they walk through there. And that's how you get them to come back. We have a very high rate for second, repeat clients that come back for more than just their initial visit, because we listened and they seen that there is support in a full team.
And I like that when they're not a case.
They're not a case.
The case workers, and we've seen what goes on in social services and all of that.
Right.
Case things are missed.
Now, do we offer case management?
Yes.
Absolutely.
But you know what I'm talking about.
Right. That's a service.
You're not overwhelmed. All of that.
Yes.
Yeah. So
that's a service. You receive case management, but you are a person to us, and we love you, and so we are here to empower you to know that your pregnancy is not your death sentence, and that you can continue your life, explaining, being real about it. Like, yes, you may be in school and you may need an extra year.
Yeah.
But that is okay. This is your path.
That's
Do not get caught up in the path of thinking, "Oh, I have to finish high school and then be in college for 4 years." And God did not make us all the same, and He did not expect for our paths to be all the same. And so it's when they get to hear that truth and someone speaking that into them, it really does open up. But we have to stay praying, because when they leave out of these doors, they're getting hit with real life again. The people they're going home to is not pouring into them the same way. So it's very important for us to follow up, to check in. Sometimes we'll meet them off if they can't come back to us, because they're now having to face the exact thing they was afraid of when they came in. And that's the family or the child's father if they haven't told somebody.
Now, what do you do, Yesenia? A young pregnant girl, a pregnant woman comes in and says, "I want to have my baby, but I can't go home." What do you all do in that case?
So we listen, we talk to them, we refer them. We have focusing families. There's We've even bought hotels.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we do.
Okay.
Yeah. It's anything we there's no limitation
Okay.
what we
Okay.
can't do, you know. So if they can't go home and they, you know, need a place to stay for shelter, we do have assessment. So, you
Okay.
know, we'll go through assessments with them. And if they need a hotel, then we'll try to get them hotel. We'll try to get them into a maternity home if need be. But we will work to figure something out.
Okay. Yeah, and that's what I asked, because she says I can't go home, but I want. What do you do? You have partnerships. You have
Absolutely.
resources. You can do what you need to do to
Mhm.
help them, and I like that. Now, what we have to talk about for the fathers. I love that you have a program for the fathers. Do you all have a success? Do you all have many men come in?
Yes, we do. So men are serviced different from women. You know, I feel like I told you, I'm very pro man. I feel there's a huge place for the man. They are the head. They are the leaders. They are the ones who plant the seeds. And I think we tend to leave them out so much, and they matter just as much in the pregnancy. So
Yeah.
you'll always hear me refer to her and him being pregnant, because it's not just her, it is him. And so we have a men's group called Abraham's Den
Okay.
that is led by men,
Yeah.
and it's for men. Men are not like us. They don't round table in the counseling room or the classroom
Yeah.
and want to talk. So they don't schedule appointments. So what we've done is we've set a day, and just they're able to come with any
That's
time
good.
in that hour of block. And we do it in the evening because most of the men are working. So you got to meet people where they are.
Yeah.
And so if you know that men are the ones working, we don't want to have service hours between 9 and 12.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We have it open on Thursdays. We're here from 9 until 8 p.m. So we literally just closed just now, you know, the center, because we keep the doors open for men to just flow in and out.
Yeah,
And
that's good.
that makes it easy for them. And we have actual men advocates that are here that will talk with them. They actually take sessions. They do a meetup once a month.
I like that.
So it's very more laid back for the men,
Yeah.
but men need the men. And, you know, I would notice that when we were seeing the men, it was effective, but it's really different when you have another man
Yeah.
speaking life into you. And lots of times we don't create safe spaces for men to be vulnerable. And
Yeah.
so they don't know how or what to do, you know. And so I would love one day for Jeff to be able, who is our men's leader, to
Hey,
share.
invite him.
Please.
Let's have a way
Listen,
through
June.
life.
Yes.
Send him,
for
give him
Father's
my,
Day
send
time.
Jeff, what's his name, Jeff?
Jeff
Send him
Houston.
my information.
I
You
will.
set it up, make the introduction via
Yes,
email.
please,
I
because
love
it was
talking.
so important.
Love it.
So important to hear from the men perspective of how they are so important in this, because in the reality, when a woman is pregnant and facing abortion, she will be more likely to want to keep her baby if she had the support of the father. She doesn't want a man that's going to tell her, oh, whatever it is that you want to do, I support you. No, he needs to be able to hear, I'm here and we are going to do this. I want us to have our baby. You know, it's nothing like being able to affirm and be confident and sure in your decision. That's what the men here are teaching these men, to know that stand your ground. A woman doesn't want you to just to agree with whatever she decides, because it's really about both of you.
Yeah.
And so I would love for you to have him on.
Yesenia, your son, read his comment.
I can't wait.
We got to do it. Angelo has spoken.
Yeah.
Make the introduction, Lottia, via email. I would love to have Jeff on to come and talk about that. I love it. And you know, I'm not lying.
I know.
It may take me a month or so to get to you, but I
know you're gonna. You circles back around quicker than I thought.
But it has to be the right time.
Absolutely.
It has to be the right time.
Always.
God doesn't just, he tells me how to win. I said, Women's History Month. Let me see if we can end the show with these queens. And God just speaks to me. So we will definitely do that in the future. Now, I want to end you ladies. First, Yesenia, I want to hear from you, and then Lottia. I want to hear how you give them hope. Because you all said when they get in the real world, when they leave Yesenia, their mom might not be nice. So how do you prepare them for the judgments the world may put on them, and keep them hopeful so they know their worth despite people's judgments and condemnation?
So listening to them, letting them know that they're worth it, that they're unique, they're specially made in God's eyes. Everything happens for a reason, even though they don't see the reason right now and how it's all working out. But they have the right to say no. They have the right to speak up for themselves and not let others speak for them. So advocating for them and letting them know that we're here for them, referring them, just it, we have Google numbers. So our work hours are not 9 to 5.
Right.
Oh yeah, right.
So I have clients, it's like, hey, you just need to somebody hear you out. Here's my Google number. Though sometimes you send a text or say, hey, I'm not sure what to do. Just let them know, hey, it's okay. You got this. We can do this, that. So Saturdays, Sundays, after work hours, hey, can I talk to you right quick? And we do a lot of community outreach. So sometimes we go see these clients, meet them at Walmart, give them their supplies, talk to them. You can't come to the center. We'll meet them where they are, but it's just letting them know that they're unique, they're special, and they're valued.
Yeah. And sometimes mom is projecting her pain onto you.
Yeah.
Or whatever, and it's generational behaviors, but you can break the cycle and you don't let it affect you, because you have to give them tools or they'll be right back to, because sometimes it can even be family that tries to just.
And we send them home with little gifts, when they leave, so they can have, it's whether it's a Bible or whether it's just a book about, where they are, a little baby beanie, little baby socks, a prayer for their baby, because to remind them, something, remember, you was here and you have to remain strong and know that everybody is not going to understand right away, but ask them if they would come with you.
That's
so you can, you want to share something with them and they could be a part of it, and we're there to help and guide them. So let them know that when they get out, when they leave from these doors, we prepare them to let them know that it's not going to be as safe out there as it was in here.
Yeah.
It's very much about being real with them. It is not going to be nice. It is going to be ugly, but remember that we are here and this is where you come back to. So it's a lot of reaffirming, reassurance to them. The follow-up is super important.
Yeah.
You have to follow up with them. And that's how. And most people who really feel love and feel the support, they come back when they find themselves being faced with a challenge on the outside.
And that little object, when mom or dad says something ugly, they can reflect
back.
Bible verse.
And we have had them we had them tell us that they had to go back and read this, or they had to look at these and remind them. And I'm like, and that's what you do. That is what you hold on to.
Everybody, this conversation, I tell you, for more information, those who are watching, you see the information, but for those who are listening online and through the app, for more, www.wtloutreach.com. That's wtloutreach.com, or call 936-372-9007. Lottia N, Blount, Yesenia Casas. I didn't think I'd get that name right. I had to say it a couple times before we got on here, y'all. I wasn't gonna look a fool. Thank you, ladies. I tell you, this is a good This is, man. I'm telling you, we've got to. I think this is. I love how you are healing with compassion, no condemnation. You're listening. Just beautiful. Keep up. How many, you've been in existence? How long? How many years is this?
It'll be 20 years this year. So we're celebrating a big one. So our gala will be in October, and we're looking forward to celebrating 20 years of what God has done. So
and selling tickets. Let's be, you gotta sell tickets.
Oh, absolutely. Raising funds.
Yeah, how are we gonna keep doing this?
Right? Absolutely.
Yeah. Because the truth is, it could be your daughter, it could be you.
Absolutely.
It could be your niece, and anyone out there. Bring this group in to talk to your church. Maybe a youth in your youth group.
Understand that it's not based about income. Anybody can be anything. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Like pregnancy is pregnancy, whether you are married or unmarried, have a job, don't have a job. Timing could just not be right for you. And so we're just here to support. So it is for anyone and everyone that is pregnant and has a child that's under the age of 3.
Okay.
You know,
So if she comes from River Oaks, we're going to take her. She doesn't have to be low income or in a high risk area. Okay.
Not. I mean, you'll be surprised that some of the ones who are, you know, from River Oaks, you know, it's the fact that here I am pregnant, and, you know, how do I tell my parents when I'm supposed to be going away to my Ivy League school or whatever, you know what I mean? So it really, people don't really see it like that. They always think it's just for the low income. No, we all have a different story. And we all deserve to have support and love when we're facing something that we were not expecting.
And I'm glad that you have cleared that up. So if any of you out there, do you all take volunteers, or is what kind of volunteers?
We do have volunteers. I like to place people in the space that works best for them. So we do have things on our website of different areas, but if you have a special gifting, you know, we do have a process. I want to know what that is, you know what I mean? Because you may be offering something that we didn't know that we really need. And so I don't want anybody to just come and volunteer to shuffle papers, and that's not really what you do. We want you to use your gifts in here.
That's good.
You know, so it's like you may have something we don't know about. So don't feel you don't know what to do, because there's always something. And I'm really good at being creative.
Yeah.
So if you have a passion for this, we'll find something.
I love that. Yesenia, any final comments from you, darling? She's speechless. I love that. That means it was a good show.
Yes, it was.
Ladies, God bless you. I will see you all, Jeff, soon. I'm sure that'll happen. And I keep doing what you're doing, ladies.
Thank you.
God bless. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Good to meet you, Yesenia. Don't be a stranger, girl.
Thank you.
And good to meet your kids, your family. We had a family reunion on here tonight. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, and let's read Tarasha's comment before I let you go. She says, great job, ladies. Keep doing what you're doing. Tarasha loves y'all.
Yes, we love her.
Sandra says, I have enjoyed it. And Angelo, read this comment, Yesenia.
That was an amazing talk. I'm glad I tuned in. Thank you.
We are too. Come on now. Yeah. They love you. Oh, well, good night. God bless, ladies, because I'm sure you got to get up early, and so do I. But y'all don't have people knocking on your door. The only knocking on my door should be Amazon. I got a package out of way. But anyway, hey, that's my business. But have a wonderful, wonderful evening. God bless you, ladies.
Thank you. Have
a good one.